Hi, welcome to my channel and thank you for being here. So today I'm going to tell you a spooky, ghostly encounter that I had. Now, you can say it wasn't a ghostly encounter. You can, make excuses for the things that we had experienced. And that's fine. I can't for sure tell you if it was a ghost, right? But it was kind of interesting, and I would like to tell you that tale. I do know that, like Robert Welsh and a few other YouTubers, I don't know who created this type of, telling a ghost encounter story. But I think he might have been the originator. If you know who did create this type of thing, let me know so I can make sure to give them full credit. I will tell you this story. It does have underage drinking and marijuana smoking. I do think that it's just part of the story, so I'm just going to tell you what happened and talk about this experience. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so my partner is a couple years older than me, but still was not legally able to drink. And I was probably 17, maybe 18. And me and my best friend and her boyfriend, Katie and Dustin, and my partner, we all decided that we wanted to go camping. And this is the first time we'd ever been camping, without adults. We were all living on our own at this point, but we had never gone camping without adult supervision, or an adult kind of running the show. So this was back before Google Maps was an actual thing. We had to, what we'd do is we'd go onto Google on the computer and map quest things and then print out printable directions to where you were going. Now we're broke as well. So my mom worked at a ply mill that was right next to train tracks, and she said that there was firewood by the train tracks that stuff that they were getting rid of. We didn't realize that this wood was not wood that you really wanted to burn, but we're like, free wood, we need free wood. And my partner, Amy, she had to work until like 4 that day that we decided we were going to leave to go camping on this random, very unplanned camping trip. So at home, Katie and we got everything ready. We went shopping, and of course, we just bought a bunch of dirt cheap stuff. We found somebody to buy us our alcohol, which was like $151, and I think we're drinking Malibu rum or something like that with it too. And we got NOS energy drinks because we used to use that as chasers. Okay, so we've got everything ready to load into the car when Amy got back home, and all of our food, and we'd never been camping, so we thought we were gonna play like alone. So we thought we were gonna play every single board game we had in the house. So yeah, we overpacked, and we had picked up the wood, Anyways, so Amy gets home and we load everything into the car and we're ready to go. We are going to McCready Hot Springs. There's supposed to be free camping spots. This is like about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where we were in Oak Ridge. And there's supposed to be these hot springs too and free camping. So we're like, hell yes, this sounds freaking awesome. Let's go to the hot springs, you guys. And that's what our directions said we were going to, was the McCready Hot Springs. And I will tell you, it is like, I think April, like And in Oregon 10 years ago, it was over 10 years ago now, it was still not like great camping season. Like, it was cold. But we had had a couple of nice days, and so we're like, yeah, let's do this. And we didn't check the weather either. Of course we didn't. But we had packed everything, like, it took so much shit that Katie and Dustin were in the back of this Buick Century, and they were sitting on top of things so we could fit everything in. Their heads were like actually touching the ceiling in the car, and so every time we went over a speed bump or anything, their heads would hit. It was hilarious. I don't know what we were thinking. Clearly we were not. Okay, so we leave, you know, it's late. It's like almost 5, I think, by the time that we actually start leaving out of town. And it starts raining, and it starts raining so bad. Like, visibility was terrible. Yeah, it was a rough trip getting there. We were, you know, kind of stressed a little bit, like, because the visibility was so bad. We didn't have Google telling us, okay, turn here, turn here. Like, we had to see signs and things. Anyways, so we follow the directions, and it finally stops raining, and we turn down, I think it was McCready Road that we turned down, and this road was sketchy, especially for like a Buick Century. You know, it's like a sedan. You're not supposed to be off-roading with it. And we are, basically. And we actually almost ripped off the license plate on the front of the vehicle. Yeah. So we are going down this road trying to find where we're supposed to be going, and we can't find where we're going. Like, we can't, and we're just not reaching anywhere, and the roads are getting even worse. So we decide to turn back. Now, there was this other turn that we didn't take, and so we thought, okay, maybe we should have taken this turn, and this would lead us to the hot springs or the campsite or whatever, right? And it's dark now. And so anyways, we take it. We go down, you know, that road, and we don't find anything but an empty big circle surrounded by trees and railroad tracks, and just this big open area, and it was near railroad tracks. And we're like, okay, it's really late, we're tired, we really want to get drunk, we really want to smoke our pot, so let's camp here. I mean, why not? We're lost. Mama. So us being the kids that we are, we decide, fuck it, let's camp here. And we set up camp, and luckily it was next to the railroad, which the trains did not like. So we were able to get one of their barrels that had like railroad ties in it, and we dumped it out, and we started a fire in the bucket, you know, the barrel or whatever. So that was convenient as well. And through, you know, we set up and we drink and we smoke pot, and we're having a good old time. Everything seems perfect. It is a little bit chilly, a little bit of rain, you know, but it was like pretty much perfect. Nothing seems out of the ordinary, really. And we did have some trains that were going by, and every single train that went by would honk. So we got to deal with that. I'm kind of surprised nobody ever showed up to tell us like what we're doing was illegal and not okay. I could never do anything like that now. Like, I would be too scared to be breaking laws like that. Plus, we're underage drinking and smoking pot. Anyways, So we did that, and it starts getting later and later, and we're like, okay, let's call it a night. I'm tired. It's getting colder. It's getting late. Let's go to bed, and then tomorrow maybe we'll find these hot springs in the actual camping spot. So that's what we did. We climbed into the tents, and this is when things start getting unusual. And we also put the food away. That's important to know. So we get in the tents, and then we start hearing noises. And at first we thought, hey, okay, it's animals, right? I mean, animals trying to get into our food. So we got out and made sure that all of our food was put away, that we didn't leave anything out, and we didn't. So we knew that there was nothing for animals to really want or be attracted to. And we crawled back into the tent, and we kept hearing noises. Now we started getting a little bit freaked out. We start making noises back, and we start checking outside the tent and looking around. We can't find anything. We don't hear animals. Like, these were like footprints, which could have been animals, I don't know. But every time we got out to look, we didn't see anything. And it was also had been raining really bad, and so it was kind of muddy, and we didn't find or couldn't see, at least in the dark with flashlights, any like animal tracks or anything. So we're like, okay, this is really fucking weird, but let's just try and get some sleep, right? And we crawl back in the tent, and then my friend's like, oh my gosh, somebody just touched my tent. And I'm like, oh, are you sure? Like, I doubt it, And then something, like, it sounded like, and like this hand like running across our tent, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it just happened to us, right? And so at this point I'm like, this is scary. Like, something's not right. And we all, like, our like, we had chills, and we're really freaking out. So we decided to get out of the tent and break things down. And we continued. We heard voices. We heard, like, we couldn't tell what the voices were saying, but it sounded like voices. And like, there was nobody around. We went and crawled around in the woods, like, around us, trying to see, like, if maybe the hot springs were near where we were and people were there. We never found anybody, any sign of human or animal life. So we were pretty freaked out, but we were too drunk. Amy, because she was the only legal driver, was too drunk to drive us anywhere. So we packed everything up and sat in the car for a long time. Not for a long time, but for like a couple of hours. We sat in the car with the doors locked, freaked out. Now, I had an old, like, Kodiak digital camera, and I was looking at the pictures in the car, and in those pictures I found a couple of orbs. One was like this big see-through orange orb, and then in the back in the woods there were like these streams of lights, multiples, on different pictures. Just like you could see the trail behind it, and it was just weird. I don't know what it was in the pictures. Now, I wish I had saved these pictures. I ended up getting rid of them because it showed like my friends and I holding bongs and, just things like that. So I didn't want, like, to get caught with stuff like that, I guess. You know what I mean? Or I didn't want, like, that circulating anywhere. I didn't think it was appropriate. So unfortunately, when I was younger, I ended up getting rid of those pictures, unfortunately. So yeah, but that's what I found. And when we're sitting there, I'm like, do you guys see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? These are totally like orbs, you know? And when I was saying that, like something hit our car, and like there was nothing, there was nothing like actually hit our car, like just something touched our car and it made noise, and we were stressing. So eventually Amy sobers up enough to be able to drive away. And yeah, we end up going to Salmon Creek to finish our camping because there were signs for that camping spot. And so we're like, okay, let's go there since we can find it. It was actually closed. It was closed for this season because, again, we were stupid, didn't plan, didn't know what the hell we were doing. But we camped in that campsite alone. It was so freaking awesome. There was nobody there. Though there were people who would come to use the creek for fishing, and luckily none of the fishermen like turned us in for camping where we weren't supposed to be camping, again doing things that we shouldn't have been doing. But we didn't have any like thing creepy happen there. Like, we got drunk and had a good old time. I've always been curious to go back to McCready and try to find that spot and try to see, you know. Oak Ridge is known to be fairly haunted. In Oregon, like it's just known if you look up Oak Ridge, Oregon, and like, you know, hauntings or whatever, it's known. I know that this could, you know, could be explainable. Like, you know, we were drinking, we'd smoke pot, but I'll tell you, my friends and I were drinkers, like hardcore drinkers. So drinking wasn't something we weren't used to doing. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? You let me know what you think, if there was like an actual ghost or if we're just drunk, or I don't know. Have you had anything happen like that? It was scary. I'm gonna tell you about my first scary ghost encounter, since I finished that story much quicker than I thought I was going to. So I grew up very religious. I'm not anymore, but I grew up, you know, Southern Baptist, very religious, say your prayers. I slept with the Bible underneath my pillow, that kind of thing. So I noticed, like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I noticed that my Bible was on the ground. And like, I'm like, okay, I probably, you know, knocked it out while I was sleeping, and I wanted to get my Bible because I felt like I needed it underneath my bed, right? So I got off my bed to get it, and I grabbed it, and when I turned around, this black shadow dog jumped out at me. It was just a shadow, and it looked like a hairy black dog. It scared the shit out of me, and I kind of like felt it go through me, like a cold gust of air. I don't know, and it didn't feel good. Like, it felt scary. And so I jumped up on top of my bed and I started praying, and I covered up with my pillows, you know, or in my blankets and closed my eyes and prayed. And I fell asleep. So that was my first scary experience, and I didn't tell my dad or my stepmom because I was afraid that they wouldn't believe me. They were very religious, and so I really didn't know if they believed in that kind of thing. But one day my stepmom was talking about ghosts and devil and spirits, and that she had, has seen stuff before. And so I told her what had happened to me, and she stops and she looks at me and she goes, I want you to draw what you saw. I want a drawing of what you saw. So I did my best to draw what I had seen. My stepmom looks at me and she goes, your dad has had the same experience. Your dad has seen this dog. It's not just you. There's something in the house. Yeah. So I was afraid of that house forever after that. I never actually talked to my dad directly about that. That's just what my stepmom had told me. Now, I ended up moving. My sister stayed. I moved in with my mom here to Oregon. This was in Oklahoma. And my sister would call my mom and tell my mom about creepy things that were happening in that house. And we had just moved into that house, by the way. We hadn't been living there very long. But my sister would say, like, she would hear knocking or see shadows and things like that. So it wasn't just like me that had like a creepy experience in that house, which kind of made me feel so much better, right? But I get, not everybody believes in ghosts, and it could have just been my imagination, and my sister's imagination and my dad's imagination. I don't know. Yeah. I have other experiences, but we will save that for another time. I'm going to finish my face off camera, and I'm going to come back and show you the finished look. Please don't go anywhere. Okay, so this is the finished look. Not that that's what this video was about. I did use the Sunset Verizon Beauty Bay palette for this look, and then for my lips I used Deviant Damsel from Wet n Wild. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you liked hearing about my ghostly experiences, then let me know down below and I will continue to tell you about them. I worked in a memory home care as well as a hospital at night, and I work in a school at night too, so I have quite a few weird and unusual experiences I could talk about. Anyways, if you enjoyed it, just let me know so I know that this is something I should keep doing. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you made it to the end. Okay, see you next time. Bye.